God.
When I was reading this book, Are You Ready to Love?, the different messages outlined in the chapters kind of represented the different lessons that I've had to learn, the more difficult ways through experience. And I wish that I had this handbook with me throughout that time to reflect and meditate and learn. I was very surprised to learn the different ways to love and the different forms of love, whether that meant love from God and love and accepting love from God, whether that means serving your community and loving your community and experiencing what it is to share in the joys and the burdens with your community, as well as love for yourself, building good habits, learning forgiveness for others, or growing in faith and trust.
The book by Father John Alex, Are You Ready to Love? It's both a question and an answer. Are you ready to love? Of course, because that is the pathway to life in fullness. The entire book is based on the greatest commandment of Jesus, love of God and the love of neighbor. In part 1, we are filled with full of life and full of love. And in part 2, we are challenged to live and share it around us and draw everyone to this love.
You have brought out a set of pearls of inspiration on the virtue of love. I sincerely thank you for loving the humanity, giving your heart and soul. Your inspiration or your reflection is so remarkable.
This book will be a great asset to the children in schools and colleges and in Sunday school classes. It will give them a deep understanding of love of God and to take themselves on in the daily life at all times.
While it is written by Father John Alex with his abundant spiritual background, in order to appeal to all sections of readers, there are ample references from Harvard Business Review, from research journals from the University of California at Los Angeles, few other reputed institutions as well, and plenty of anecdotes from his interactions with individuals around him as well as from his travels. So this is really what gives a completely rounded view, and like I said, the book goes beyond what the title says.
In this book, I was so excited to see some romantic topics like love locks, whistling in the dark, and gossips. That was so interesting, and it was very catchy for me to read those topics. This book is specially designed for the teenagers, young parents, and people who are eager to have a healthy relationship with other people around them. This book will really enhance you to have a deeper understanding of yourself and yourself with God, the higher source. If you really want to know who you are and what is that one thing that is connecting you and the higher source, that is love, and to have a deeper connection with your own self, please read this book.
The most important two things in this book is finding myself in God and finding the love everyone seeks. For a holistic living, every one of us should possess the treasure of love, which is the binding force that connects us, teaches us to act with compassion and empathy. This beautiful book echoes love across cultures and beliefs, which reminds us that whenever and wherever love is shared, our loving God is present.
I congratulate Father John Alexander for giving us this incredible work. I wish you all the success in the world with your new book, dear Father. I encourage everyone to take time to read Are You Ready to Love, share it with others, and experience the world Father John Alexander has so beautifully crafted.
And so I truly recommend this book and I invite you to read it and to learn and grow in your love with Christ, in your love with the community, and in your love with yourself as well.
The author gives his own little experiences which are very apt and brings out the meaning so beautifully. The challenge thrown to us by this book is, are you ready to love? We need to get immersed in this love so that we are able to draw other people to this circle of love.
I wish you all the best in your journey of life. May many more books come out of your mind. And in the name of the new leader and the readers, I wish you every success in your ministry.
My appreciation for this release of this new book.
I wholeheartedly recommend this once again, and I thank Father for having given me this opportunity to review this book.
Make a choice. Do you want to really love? Are you ready? I am ready for that. Are you ready for that? Then please go in for this book.
All the best, dear Father, for all your good endeavors.
I wish you all success toward your new book, dear Father.
Thank you, Father, for your beautiful books. Thank you very much.
Thank you to Father John Alex for allowing me this opportunity to read this book, and God bless.
Thank you, Father John Alex, for this wonderful, inspiring book. I am very sure many will benefit out of this book. Congratulations. God bless you, Father.
Congratulations and best wishes to you.
As the guests are arriving, may I invite the choir to get ready. We are indeed delighted to have our esteemed chief guest, our Archbishop, Father Provincial, Mr. N. Ram, Father Sajid, the editor of St. Paul's Publications, and other guests of honor amidst us. May I invite the chief guest to come on to the dais, Dr. Cynthia. The best and the most beautiful thing in the world cannot be seen nor touched, but are felt in the heart. That is love. Good evening, one and all present here. It is a beautiful day here at St. Bede's Santhome, and we are gathered here for an extraordinary occasion, the launch of the inspiring book titled, Are You Ready to Love? Pathways to Life in Fullness, authored by the esteemed person, Father John Alexander, SDB. Love in its purest form is a pathway to the fullness of life, and Father John Alexander has captured this beautifully in this book. Today, we come together to celebrate not just the launch of a book, but the essence of love that Father John has written about, which has the potential to touch lives and bring us closer to a deeper understanding of our faith. To begin this joyous occasion, as we open our hearts to the message of love and life in its fullness, let us pray to the Lord. I invite everyone to join as we begin with a prayer song along with St. Bede's Academy School Choir.
Please be seated. Thank you to the St. Bede's Academy School Choir for the beautiful and uplifting prayer song. Your voice have truly set a peaceful and inspiring tone for the rest of our program. We are grateful to your presence and the spirit you have brought to this gathering. Special thanks to Father Edward, SDB, the principal, and the teaching faculty for this wonderful prayer song.
To officially welcome us all to this memorable event, I now call upon Father Sajid Syriac, SSP, editor of St. Paul's Publications, to deliver the welcome address.
Respected dignitaries on and out of the dais, Reverend Fathers, Sisters, ladies and gentlemen, good evening to all of you. It is indeed a great honor and joy to stand before you today as we gather to celebrate the launch of Are You Ready to Love by our esteemed author, Reverend Father John Alexander SDB, and published by St. Paul's, Mumbai. This is a moment of joy and grace as we focus on the profound message of love that this book offers. A message that encourages us to live life in its fullness, guided by love. At the very outset, I would like to extend a warm welcome to our chief guest, Most Reverend Dr. George Antonisamy, Archbishop of Madras Mylapore Diocese. Your presence here today is a good source of inspiration and encouragement to all, and we are deeply grateful for your leadership and spiritual guidance. Thank you for gracing this event with your presence. Welcome, dear Archbishop. A warm welcome to Reverend Father Dr. Don Bosco SDB, INM Provincial. Thank you for your presence and for your constant support of the Salvation Mission of empowering youth through education and spiritual guidance. Welcome, dear Father. A special thanks to Mr. Shashi Kumar, Chairman of the Asian College of Journalism, for being with us today. Your work in shaping the media landscape is well known, and we look forward to listening to your thoughts. Welcome, sir. A special word of welcome to Mr. Ian Ram, Director of the Hindu Publishing Group. Your contribution to the world of journalism and publishing is unparalleled, and we are honored to have you as a part of this momentous occasion. Thank you for being a part of this book release and inauguration of the book donation initiative. Welcome, sir. A heartfelt welcome to Reverend Father M.A. Joe Anthony, S.J. from St. Joseph College, Trichy. Your commitment to journalism, writing and publishing continue to inspire the youth and all those who are committed to knowledge and growth. We are so pleased to have you with us today. Welcome, Father Joe. I extend my warm welcome to Dr. Jayakumar Reddy, pediatrician at Apollo Hospital, for coming forward to start and be the ambassador for the book donation campaign called Butterfly Express, Library for Village Schools initiative. We thank you for your service as a leading doctor in Chennai, especially in helping thousands of young children and families. Welcome, Dr. Reddy. We welcome and appreciate the presence of Dr. Cynthia Alexander. We thank her for her faithful service as a leading physician who has saved and healed thousands of lives. Welcome, ma'am. to Father John Alexander, SDB, the author of this inspiring book. We express our deepest gratitude for gifting us with your reflections on love and life in its fullness. Your words will surely touch many hearts and minds, encouraging people to embrace the path of love. Welcome, dear Father. Finally, a warm welcome to all our chief guests of honors, Reverend priests, religious, doctor, educators, and esteemed guests who have gathered here. Your presence is a testament to the importance of this event, and we are truly blessed to share this occasion with each of you. This book launch is more than just an unveiling. It is a celebration of love and the transformative power of love in our lives. Let us take this event to reflect on the pathways to life in its fullness that Father John Alexander so beautifully illustrates in his book. Are you ready to love? May this timely book inspire and persuade us to get ready to love. With this note, I once again extend my heartfelt welcome to each and every one of you. May this event be filled with joy and inspiration as we celebrate the theme of love. Thank you.
Thank you, Father Sajid, for your warm and heartfelt welcome. Your words have truly set the stage for what promises to be memorable and inspiring event.
Now we shall listen to the Bible reading read by Rian Maria Christus, a class 11 student of Don Bosco School of Excellence, Egmore.
Please rise. A reading from the Holy Bible, from the first letter of St. Paul to the Corinthians, chapter 13, verses 1 to 10. The gift of love. If I speak in the tongues of humans and of angels, but do not have love, I am a noisy gong or a clanging cymbal. And if I have prophetic powers and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have all faith so as to remove mountains, but do not have love, I am nothing. If I give away all my possessions, and if I hand over my body so that I may boast, but do not have love, I gain nothing. Love is patient. Love is kind. Love is not envious or boastful or arrogant or rude. It does not insist on its own way. It is not irritable. It keeps no record of wrongs. It does not rejoice in wrongdoing, but rejoices in the truth. It bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never ends. But as for prophecies, they will come to an end. As for tongues, they will cease. As for knowledge, it will come to an end. For we know only in part, and we prophesy only in part. But when the complete comes, the partial will come to an end. The word of the Lord. Thanks
be to God. Please be seated. Thank you, Rian Maria, for your gracious words by reading the word of God.
Introducing our next speaker, Father M.A. Joe Anthony S.J., an accomplished educator and journalist, is a great privilege. Father Joe has served as editor of Jeevan, the magazine of South Asian Jesuits, for over 17 years, and resumed this role in July 2023. Father Joe has taught at Loyola College, Chennai, and Madras University, inspiring many through his communication and practical writing courses. He was also the editor of The New Leader for 20 years, during which he revitalized its standing and reputation. Father John Alex, casually he was telling, it was he who instilled him the spirit of writing, especially in writing the spiritual matters, which really nourished him and enlightened him throughout his writing experience. We are delighted to have him share his thoughts with us today. Father Joe, please join us in sharing your thoughts. We welcome you, Father.
Dear Reverend Archbishop, Mr. Sashi Kumar Menon, Mr. N. Ram, Dr. Jay Kumar Reddy, dear Father John Alex, Father Bosco, Father Sajit, and my dear friends. For a day or two, I was wondering if Pope Francis was reading my regular column in the New Leader. In the August 1st to 15th issue of the New Leader, the title of my column was Take and Read. Take and read is the English translation of the three Latin words which St. Augustine kept hearing. He listened to that voice, he took the Bible and read, and what he read eventually led to his conversion. That column was about all that we gain by reading. Since it was meant for the August 1st to 15th issue, I must have written it around 20th July. 2 weeks later, on the 4th of August, the Vatican released a letter written by Pope Francis on the same topic. Why reading is important not only for seminarians but for everyone. Therefore, Pope Francis will be thrilled if he comes to know that we are having a function here today to release a book and to launch a campaign to donate books to rural students. The book to be released today is Father John Alexander's 7th book, if I'm not mistaken. It's called Are You Ready to Love? Pathways to Life in Fullness. He gave me the honor of writing the foreword for his previous book, Wise and Strong. So I read the entire manuscript. For this book, he wanted an endorsement from me. So I read the manuscript of this book too. So, what can you find in this book? Father John has pondered several things and gathered the fruits of his reflections on a variety of topics, mostly related to love. To illustrate the universal longing for love, he narrates what he saw in Paris, France, in 2022. He says he was captivated by the sight of hundreds of thousands of padlocks on a bridge across a river. Countless young couples had etched their initials on them. A year later, there were nearly 1 million locks that weighed about 45 tons, causing a portion of the bridge to collapse. He says he saw a similar display of locks in Venice and Rome. Everyone, everywhere needs love. There is a perennial longing for it, but the truth is, to a large extent, most of us do not know how to give or receive love. We manage to destroy what we need. So in this book, Father John talks about what will help us find it. Apart from sharing his own reflections and insights, he quotes a number of people, number of great men and women like Mahatma Gandhi, Mother Teresa, Nelson Mandela, Rabindranath Tagore, Dietrich Bonhoeffer, and so on. At the end of each article, he reminds us of its central idea or insight. At the end of every chapter, he gives us questions for introspection and sharing. You will agree that we need such books today more than ever in the past because of what is happening in our world today. When we think of war, we think of only two places now, Ukraine and Gaza. Archbishop Thomas Menamparampil, who has written the foreword for this book, quotes a scholar who asserts that we have had, after the Second World War, we have had 236 wars, that is minor and major armed conflicts in 150 countries. But war is not the only sign of lack of love and compassion. Think of the Kolkata horror, which is not an isolated incident, which is repeated in every town, in every city, in every state, every country, not merely India. The trial of 51 Frenchmen is going to begin in France. All the 51 of them are accused of raping a married woman. You will be shocked to find out that the main culprit behind this sordid crime is her own husband. A political party which believes in dividing the people of this country on the basis of religion has secured a third term. Therefore, senseless wars, horrible crimes against women, and divisive hate politics, more than ever, we need to talk about true love and teach our children and students how to find it. For John's book may make us and our world a little more ready, a little more prepared to love and to fight everything that destroys it. So let us congratulate Father John Alexander, for whom writing is not a means of livelihood, not a way to fame, but a ministry, an apostolate, that is something that does for his fellow humans in the name of God, for the sake of God. So let us thank him for sharing his reflections, insights with us through his books. Let us hope and pray that he continues to write. Now he is the Vice Provincial. Hopefully he will become the Provincial later. So let's hope and pray that he continues to write even with that responsibility and inspire us. Let us hope and pray that his dream of gifting books to poor rural students is realized soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Father Joe Anthony S.J., for your insightful and inspiring words. Your vast experience and wisdom have truly enriched this gathering, and we are grateful for your knowledge and perspective you have shared with us today.
Now, our author, Father John Alexander, will honor the guests of honor who are present amidst us for this event, who are in many ways connected with Father John Alex in his spiritual as well as in his writing journey throughout his life. Mr. Joshua Madan, CEO, Covenant Group. Dr. Sumant Raman, TV anchor and political analyst. Mr. Anand Jagannathan, Senior Director, Rooks Networks. Mr. Sam Prasad Abhishek, Managing Director, Hild Energy. Sanjay Pinto, Advocate, Counselist, Author and former Resident Editor, NDTV 24/7. Mr. Sivan Arul, IAS retired, member TNPSC. Sabrina Rupil Anthony, Father Irudayaraj Edanapalli, Principal St. Bede's Anglican and Higher Secondary School, Santom. Father Edward Michael, Principal St. Bede's Academy, Santom. Father Arul Shekhar, Principal Dominic Savio Matriculation Higher Secondary School, Santom. Father Sagayaraj Devadas, Rector St. Bede's Anglican Higher Secondary School, Santom. Brother Anandaraj Savarinathan, Principal St. Mary's Anglo-Indian Higher Secondary School, Georgetown. Christina Deepa, Counselor, Loyola College, Chennai. Brother Lucas Gomes, Director, Women Empowerment Association, TK Puram, Vellore. Sister Dr. Mary Fabiola, Principal, Nirmala College for Women. Sister Prabha, Principal, Segadot Matriculation Higher Secondary School, Church Park. Albert Madhukumaranan, Partner, Albert Theatre and AMCOS. Reverend Dr. A. Louis Arekaraj ST, Principal, Loyola College. Father Xavier Bakim SDB, Rector, Correspondent, Don Bosco Schools, Egmore. Father Tony Robert SDB, Principal, Don Bosco School of Excellence, Egmore. Father Matthias SDB, Principal, Don Bosco Matriculation High School, Egmore. Mr. Gunasegaran, Editor-in-Chief, Sun News. Father Praveen Peter SDB, Rector and Secretary, Segadot College, Tirupattur. Father Maria Arekaraj SDB, Additional Principal, Segadot College, Tirupattur. Father Adikalaraj Kolandai Swami SDB, Spiritual Director, Segadot College, Tirupattur. V. Subramanian, Managing Director, News 7. Dr. Virudagirinathan, Clinical Neuropsychologist. Mr. Navzad Muhammad Ali Asif Ali, Diwan to Prince of Arcad. And Mr. Arokyam, the elder brother of Father John Alex Diata. Once again, we thank you for your valuable present for this wonderful occasion. We are privileged to hear from our INM Provincial, Father L. Don Bosco SDB, a figure whose commitment to the Salesian mission is truly inspiring. Let us welcome him with a round of applause to address the gathering.
Most Reverend Dr. George Anthony Swami, Archbishop Madras Mylaputta Archdiocese. And for Salesians, we always experience his accompanied accompaniment. And that's the title I can give on this day. Maybe a book can be written keeping in mind the relationship which we enjoy with our Archbishop, accompanied accompaniment. And that is a personal experience and collective experience always we have. And other eminent guests who are seated here, and my own council members are here, and my dear confreres are here, and all the teachers, and also beneficiaries and students. Good evening to all. And I asked Archbishop permission because I have to leave to Besanagar. Today I am the main celebrant for today's service, so I'll be leaving after the presentation. And for the Joe Manath, I've written a book titled, You Surprised Me. And that's the feeling I'm getting on this day when Alex organized such a big function. I was surprised, and you surprised me, and that is because, you know, Madras province is a very big province. We have 416 Salesians with 55 communities, and Father is always traveling with me. I don't know when he found time. So next book is How to Find Time. And second one is Getting Connected to the People. I thought it's only among priests with the Archbishop and also with the eminent guest over here, but I see that it got connected to so many, okay. So next title is How to Get Connected to People. So 2 more books are ready. Anyway, I written a formal message after going through the book. So then I experienced, are you ready to love? Is it a competition or is it a celebration? Okay, are you ready to love? No, we are here. We have come here to celebrate and to manifest the love which we are experiencing day after day. The first one is upward mobility, and second one is inward mobility, and third one is downward mobility. I think we have come here to celebrate and not for competition but share our own experience. And so there is an introduction and there is a sustainable approach and there is a conclusion. I'll go to the conclusion. Okay. Also, we have started a little bit late too. So in conclusion, I would like to express my deepest gratitude to Father John Alex, my Vice Provincial, for his tireless efforts in bringing this book to life. Your work is a shining example of how one person's dedication and passion can make a profound impact on the world. May, Are You Ready to Love, inspire countless individuals to choose love over hate, compassion over indifference, and unity over division. May this book ignite a spark of love in our heart and help us to commit ourselves to be agents of love in our own lives and the lives of others. May we carry the light of love wherever we go, and may it guide us throughout our life. Thank you, dear Father John Alex, for this beautiful gift. May your writings continue to inspire us to be bearers of God's love to the people whom we meet in day-to-day life. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Father L. Don Bosco, the Provincial of I&M Province, for your inspiring words and your dedication to the Salesian mission in the province of Chennai. For your leadership and vision continues to guide and motivate us all. We truly appreciate your presence and wisdom have shared us today. Thank you.
We are happy to have Father Vincent Chinnudara amidst us. Father John Alex presents a gift. Thank you, Father, for your presence. Now, may I invite Father Sagairaj Devasagayam, Devadas, the rector of St. Bede's group of schools, to felicitate our Archbishop with the Ponnadai. Father Alex will present the small memento for our Archbishop. It is with great joy that we welcome His Grace Most Reverend Dr. George Anthony Swami, Archbishop of Madras Mylapore Archdiocese. His grace has been a guiding light to many, and His presence today is a blessing to us all. Please give him a warm welcome to address the gathering.
Good evening to all of you, especially the eminent personalities who are in the podium and esteemed invitees who are sharing this important occasion of having real love being expressed through the book. Reverend Fathers, Reverend Sisters, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great pleasure for me to be here as a chief of guests. I do not know why Father has chosen me, because the same question was raised then Cardinal Giovanni Battista Montini when he was Cardinal in famous city of Milan. He went for launching a book. One of the editors came to him, asked him, have you ever written a book in your life? How many books have you written? He told, I never wrote books, but I wrote so many reports because I was in the diplomatic service. The same answer could be addressed to me. I have written so many reports. I was ambassador of the Vatican in many countries. That way I'm very happy, part and partial of this celebration of today. Coming to the book of Reverend Father John, it's a very, very simple, heartbreaking book. When I read the topic, Are You Ready to Love? It comes to my mind the question of our Lord Jesus Christ made to St. Peter. do you really love me? He's a divine master asking the same question in a different way, putting it in simple and direct form, whereas you put it in a human way, are you ready to love? So in that way, your book is not written on a human values, also on the gospel values. And that touches me a lot. Now coming to the very concept of love, I would like to share, because you've given me only 7 to 8 minutes. I have already taken 2 to 3 months. Thank you very much, Dr. Ram. So love is, according to me, the core of the human life, and love is the commandment what we practice as a Christian. So core of human life is love. The core should be experienced in our life, in day-to-day life. In your book, you have 2 parts, important parts: finding myself in God, and second part you write, finding the love everyone seeks. And finally, you conclude your book that was very much taken up by me, growing in gratitude. Because St. Augustine, in all his books, wrote about Christian call, human call. And he says all the human being receives 3 gifts. Gift of life. And secondly, gift of love. And thirdly, he says gift of being a member of any religious community. You can say it's a Christian faith or Hindu faith or Muslim faith, whatever it may be. These 3 are given by God to human being. In the center of it, he insists, if you want to be a really human, you want to be a religious in your life, in the sense not the religious who are sitting in front, as a person who is adhering in particular religion, love should be there. Without love, we cannot do. So only St. Teresa of Calcutta beautifully puts his important points which you brought out, giving so many important words of famous, internationally well-known people, how they consider love in their life, how they propose love to other people. I could rather say about our Mother Teresa of Calcutta, the saint whose feast we celebrated yesterday. He says like that, I just say the words uttered by her so many times. She used to say, I quote, "Spirit of silence leads to spirit of prayer. The spirit of prayer leads to spirit of faith. And spirit of love, from faith to love, and the spirit of love leads to service, to serve the humanity." Are you ready to love means nothing but we should be a person who accepts and live in perfect silence, and through silence a moment of connection or relation with God Almighty. And with God Almighty, you are going to increase your belief in God and in humanity, the first part of it, finding myself in God. That kind of faith leads to love. The second part of your contribution, that is finding love everyone seeks, that leads automatically to serve the entire humanity. So Swami Vivekananda used to say, the true love of the humanity is expansion, selfishness is contraction. For that he suggests purity, patience, and perseverance are the 3 essential to have the success of love in our life. And you have given so many chapters, I think, basing upon these 3 important essential elements, how we should be pure in our heart and mind, in our relation with other people. An interpersonal relationship, we are supposed to be patient, and finally persevere that kind of relation till the end. Hence, I think after having read your work, Love is the core of the cherishing human life. Where there is love, there is everything. In Latin proverb, we used to say, ubi caritas est, ibi Deus est. Where there is love, there is God. In that God, we find true love. So, dear Father John, I wish you all the best. I congratulate you. And you could give more surprises also. As Reverend Father Bosco said, in writing relevant topics and which could be very useful for all of us, irrespective of religious belief. For Indian, for us, in the present context, that will be very helpful. I wish you all the best. May God bless you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Grace, for your gracious presence and uplifting words. You are deeply blessed by your guidance and support. We truly appreciate your inspiration you have brought to this gathering.
Dear friends, this is the moment for which we are waiting for. Now is the time for the book release. May I invite our Archbishop, Most Reverend Dr. George Anthony Swami, to release the book. I invite Mr. N. Ram to receive the first copy of the book. Father John Alex, the author, will give the second copy to Dr. Cynthia. And he will also present the book for all the dignitaries on the dais.
Thank you, Your Grace, for unveiling this meaningful book, Are You Ready to Love, by Father John Alex SDB. We are grateful for your blessings and for making this moment so special. A big thanks to Mr. N. Ram and all the dignitaries for being part of this significant occasion.
To share his reflections on the importance of love and the role of media in shaping society. We are delighted to have Mr. Shashi Kumar, Chairman of the Asian College of Journalism, with us today. Please join me in welcoming him to deliver the keynote reflections for today's event. Welcome you, sir.
The Most Reverend Father George Anthony Swami, Archbishop of Madras, Mylapore, the author of the book that we are celebrating today, Father John Alexander, whom I respect and love very much, my good friend and mentor, N. Ram, other distinguished dignitaries on the dais. I see a lot of fellow Don Boscoites here, or Boscoians here. I also see a lot of Loyalites here, both of which institutions I've attended. The principal, I believe, of Don Bosco is here. I see many others. I don't want to mention names because there are far too many of them. So, Reverend Fathers, Reverend Sisters, ladies and gentlemen. It's indeed a pleasure and a privilege to be speaking about the book that Father John Alexander has written. I remember when I was in school at Don Bosco, the day began with what we then called a moral science class. I don't know how many years that continued. At that time, I thought honestly that it was a waste of time. But today, when I think back on my school education, one of the most memorable classes, in retrospect, with hindsight, happens to be that. Because the class spoke about home truths that we need to live with, about bonding, about love, about faith, about truth, about honesty, about being frank, the values that we find increasingly endangered in our day and time. Today, when we speak about love, unfortunately, you find suffixes to which are the first that spring to your mind, like love jihad, or love this, or love that. In other words, the vitiation of a pure concept is what is privileged. And this, I think, is the dilemma, the crisis, the existential crisis, if you like, of the idea of love in our times. This morning I was reading a Malayalam paper. I also read a Malayalam paper partly to be in touch with Malayalam. And the very front of the paper was the image of the Pope Francis. He's in Indonesia, and he was there with the leader, the Muslim cleric of Indonesia, Imam Nasruddin Umar, and Pope Francis. Imam Nasruddin Umar is kissing the Pope's hand, and they are there to inaugurate what's called a tunnel of love, or tunnel of friendship. This is at Indonesia's biggest mosque, and West Asia's biggest mosque apparently, the Istiqlal Mosque. This tunnel connects the Istiqlal Mosque to the Holy Mother Mary Cathedral. And in attendance were other faiths. Islam, of course, was there. As you know, Indonesia is predominantly Islamic, 87% of the population. Christians, who constitute about 10+%, Buddhists, Hindus, among the Christians, both Catholics and Protestants. And the Pope said, that's a lovely turn of phrase, if you like, we speak about seeing light at the end of the tunnel. The Pope stood that idea on its head and said, this is the tunnel towards the light. At a time when our idea about friendship and love is caught in what I might call a tunnel vision, the idea of a tunnel which leads you to light is indeed the wisdom of the time, the wisdom of the moment. I was very struck by this. And it's fortuitous that I get to see this morning and talk about it this evening. Father John Alexander's book is striking for many reasons. It's very difficult to speak about a concept like love because it is a shop-worn term. It can become a cliche very easily. it can become stereotypical very easily. But to find new meaning, to reinvent it, to reimagine it, to make it relevant to our times, that is indeed a very, very difficult task. And I was, in fact, wondering how this book is going to read. I did what's called a speed reading of it, and yet I was engaged. To begin with, it's very eclectic. Eclectic in a very substantive manner. He draws from various authoritative sources, quotes a vast array of not just theologians, but philosophers, thinkers, and brings to each idea of friendship and truth and love a fresh meaning. It's a freshly minted language, if you like, with which he's tackled these ideas which could easily become shop-worn, as I said, or stale in some sense, because the term is used over and over and over again. You have love and love and love and love, right? And then you have loves with suffixes, which are problematic. And therefore, to keep the original sense of the word and to invest it with a meaning which is very, very strongly tied to our times, very significant to our times, is to my mind a daunting task, and Father John Alexander has done it so admirably. He speaks about many things. I'll just touch on a few. Speaks about how depth is being replaced by breadth in our times. We have a sense of height and depth being more important than breadth. But as we know, as we move from the analog into the digital age, breadth is privileged. He quotes Nicholas Carr, the author of The Shallow, where he says, once I was a scuba diver in the sea of words. Now I zip along the surface like a guy on a jet ski. This whole replacement of depth with surface, with breadth. One can argue that there's an equivalence between depth and breadth. It's just a long habit of thinking breadth and height is important, that you don't value breadth. Because after all, there's the idea of hypertext, there's the idea of lateral thinking. These are all on the realms of breadth. Even in education, De Bono's idea of education and so on deal a lot with the idea of breadth. Breadth is what the younger generation, and I deal with them a lot these days because of the Asian College of Journalism, they think breadth. They don't think height and depth. The terminology of modern technology is one of breadth. You speak about surfing the net. You don't talk about diving into depths of knowledge in the net or ascending heights of knowledge in the depth. Surfing, scanning, spamming, these terminologies are all off breadth. We talk about the world being flat, although it isn't. And therefore, this is an issue, this is an idea that emerges from this book, a discussion on this. It sets you thinking, is what I was trying to say. Religion, of course. This is strongly religious. Obviously, Father John Alexander is a religious person. I must admit, am not. And yet, you see how his religion is not sectarian, it is not narrow. It is imbued with secular values. First of all, the people, the vast array of people, variety of people he quotes are drawn from different faiths, and perhaps even those who have no faith, I don't know. And there's a misunderstanding that religion, for instance, is something that people of my persuasion, let me say, a Marxist, scorn or scoff. Karl Marx is often quoted as saying religion is the opium of the masses, which is true, he said that. But that is the fag end of a sentence where he says, and this is not known so much, people don't bother to find out, he says, Religion is the sigh of the oppressed creatures, the heart of a heartless world, and the soul of a soulless condition. It is the opium of the masses. Opium not as drug addiction. Opium is something, it gives you relief from all these agony and pain, which gives you solace, which is anodyne. I don't think you could have expressed religion in better terms than that, coming from someone who is not religious. Because you see its function in a society. Father John Alexander goes on, he talks about the need for solitude, as Reverend Father Archbishop also mentioned. But doesn't say that you need to be always in solitude. It doesn't mean you need to abnegate the joys of life. You must live the life and yet be able to find your soul, to find your centeredness. And that, I think, is a very, very valuable idea that this book offers you. He talks about, there's a beautiful anecdote. There are many such anecdotes of Setu Kumaran, who loves a crow, whom he calls Black Beauty. He's a lover of a bird. For those of you who don't know, there's another lover of a bird sitting here, Enram. He has birds with whom he carries on long conversations, which only the bird and he understands. I have another friend called Paul Sakaria, who is a very well-known writer in Malayalam. He once happened to come to Chennai and he was staying with me somewhere, and we were in a swimming pool. And suddenly I heard him talking, and I was wondering what he's doing. He was speaking to the black ants, which kept coming into the pool. He'll take them and keep them up, and they'll keep coming back. So he's scolding them. Says, how many times will I keep you up there and you keep coming down? Don't I have to swim? And I found it odd. But this is a kind of passion with which you engage with not just people around you, but the smallest of beings, birds, creatures, worms. So this triggered this memory in me. The idea of the Eucharist, of course. It's one of the grandest ideas, I think, in Christianity, where you partake in the blood of Christ, in the flesh of Christ, in the form of bread and wine. So this book has so much, actually. It's not a book I should have read the way I read it. I read it the way I read it because I wanted to be equipped to talk about it this evening. But you have to ponder over the pages. You need stillness of your mind to contemplate the ideas that are presented there page after page. That's what makes this book so different. The book, I think, will have a transformative impact on those who read it. As I said at the beginning, I was skeptical whether anyone could take a term like love and make something new of it, or something different of it, or something more meaningful of it. And Father John Alexander has actually belied my skepticism. It is indeed a book that must be read, I think, particularly by the younger generation, particularly in a society, since I come from the media, where there was this wonderful excerpt from the Bible that was read here of St. Paul to the Corinthians, where he speaks about how there's so much of noise and cymbal and sound of drums and so on, so much so that the message is lost. The core idea or principle of media is what you call a signal to noise ratio. If the noise exceeds the signal, you get nothing. Today, unfortunately, because of the preponderance of, say, forms of social media, I'm not decrying it lock, stock, and barrel, but the way social media is in a freewheeling, vicious kind of spin, there's more noise than signal. And we are all trying to make sense of ourselves. We are all caught in these filter bubbles, in these echo chambers, where we're just listening to each other and being strengthened in our biases and in our prejudices and not able to see the other. We other the other instead of trying to reach across to the other. Othering has become a pastime, a preoccupation. We saw the example of Indonesia, where 87% are Muslims, and the Pope's arrival becomes an occasion for interreligious bonding and understanding, bridging. In our country, on the other hand, there's an exceptionalist premise for the majoritarian religion, a refusal to integrate. In fact, a political compulsion to keep the pot boiling, to fragment and communally divide for petty, narrow political reasons. This is where we need the transcending effect, the transcending touch of love. And so I would heartily recommend this book to each and every one of you. I certainly will keep a few copies of this in our library at the ACJ, which Ram, in fact, is a trustee of the trust which runs the college. And I'll end by saying there's this ditty, if you like, that I read when I was in school in Don Bosco, in fact. In those days, I used to assiduously read a magazine called Reader's Digest. I don't even know if it exists now. And they would have these nice quotes, quotable quotes below it. And some of those have stuck to my mind for no rhyme or reason. And this one particular one had no author, but it's not mine, therefore I'm just trying to explain. It says, and it seems to be speaking to our times, hate plus hate, but equals hate. Unhappy gain, despairing state. Hate plus love invokes a light, subtracts from hate its darkened might. Don't add at all to hate and strife, for what you add becomes your life. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sir Sasikumar sir, for your insightful keynote reflections. Your thoughts on the tunnel of love and the importance of love shaping society have given us much to ponder. We are truly grateful for your presence and wisdom you have shared with us today.
As we all gathered here for this book release, we are also focusing on an important event, an initiation with a noble cause. It is beautifully put on the banner, good people coming together for a noble cause. Yes, indeed, we are all here for a noble cause. May I invite Mr. Joshua Madan, CEO of Covenant Group, to introduce us what is that noble cause that we are initiating today. Please, sir.
Yeah, good evening all. Before I start, I want to introduce Team Butterfly Express. So I'm just going to read them, and I want you to give them a good round of applause, because without them, this Book the Nation campaign wouldn't happen. So Father YL Irderaj, if you could just kindly stand, and Father William, Brother Arun, Father Matthias, Mrs. Vanita, don't put off your claps, please cheer for them. Mr. Jesu Raja, Father Jayaraj, and Father John Brito. A louder applause, please. That's Team Butterfly Express, and we would really want to thank you. And of course, Father John Alexander. Many years before, I got a call from Father John Alexander, referred by my friend Prakash Anthony. I believe his family is here. Daughter is right here. And Father called me and he said he wants to do a campaign to help rural kids and about the schools and how the schools are kind of really not doing well, and how can we do that. And he pulled one of my classmates from Don Bosco. His name was John Brito. He runs a dance academy. And that was my first interaction with Father John. And I was really impressed that he actually walks the gospel. Someone said there are 5 gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and we are the 5th gospel. And truly, Father John Alex has been the 5th gospel, and he is someone who really tries to find out where can I make a difference. And that's why I'm here, and most of my DB Don Bosco alumni are here. We have Sumant also right at the back. So many of us have taken time off, and I'm sure all of you are here just to support this beautiful cause about how can I make a difference. And generosity is very contagious. It just needs one person to just to ignite the spark. And I believe everybody here can just join the bandwagon, right? So I'm here today to ask you and request you about how we can all make a difference together. Of course, it's a great evening that we are having about this beautiful launch of this book. But at the end of the day, the social impact of it, and that's the reason why Butterfly Express is in place. There is a statistics which says that most of the successful people, if you ask them, one of the traits that really made them successful is that they read every day. You know, there is nothing called as I finish my learning. There is always a continuous learning. And what Father John Alex and Butterfly Express is attempting to do is there is this huge imbalance which is happening between the rural and the city kids because of lack of libraries. And much as how a caterpillar becomes a butterfly, these libraries would actually enable the rural children to read more and to become successful by their continuous learning. And how can this happen? There are three ways which can happen. Number one, all of us here, or most of us here are influencers, and rather I would say all of us here are influencers. We have our social media accounts, we have our friends. So one of the things we request you to do right after this evening's program is take your Facebook, take your Instagram accounts, take all, probably your LinkedIn, wherever you are present, and just post a message about how you could play a part by just informing others about Butterfly Express. Secondly, the word express is actually talking about the urgency. Many of us are happy to be here, and maybe in a couple of minutes we'll all forget about this. But the urgency that we need to be part of it is about how you could make an impact. And how could you do that? There are these blue forms which I'm going to request the ushers to just pass these blue forms. It's already done? All right, thank you. So you can just read that. You could do two things. One is you can donate books, or you can donate for books. There are two things you can do. Either donate books or donate for books. So if you could just there are pens there, you could just write down your commitments, and I strongly urge you, and it's not about the bigger numbers. Even if you can donate one book, that's really good enough, because if you believe that's like, the story in the Bible which talks about the widow who just gave 2 mites, just 2, but Jesus was looking at it and said, she is probably ranked right at the top. So it's not the amount, but just your participation. So if you can donate books, nothing like it, and we will probably collect all those books and give it to the libraries in the rural areas of all over. Or if you want, saying, I can't donate books, but I want to be a part of this campaign, and you want to donate for books, there is an ATG available for people who like to have ATG, or even otherwise, there are, folks, you can just donate to the other account as well. We have our ushers standing right there. So if you could just write down, take a moment to just write down wherever you are led to do, and just pass on these blue forms, that would be a great difference. So we can all make a difference, every one of us, about how we can not just buy fish for the people who are in need, but rather teach them how to fish. I think that's going to be a big difference. And Father John Alex, salutations to you for living out the gospel, and most importantly, for making a social impact. So this is just not a book release, but how you and I can be a part of this campaign. As you write down, and I'm sure the ushers are there, and they're going to receive these blue forms, we are moving into a very, very important phase where we are also going to introduce our patrons. Our patrons is, of course, we are very, very honored to have Mr. N. Ram as one of the patrons for the Butterfly Express. Please put your hands together. And we have Dr. Jayakumar Reddy, a pediatrician from Apollo Hospitals. He's, again, going to be one of the patrons for this. Mr. Sam Prasad, he's not here, but I believe his family is right here, from the Eagle Press and the Hild Energy. Mr. Sudhir Peter, again a Don Bosco alumni, the managing director of Sheenlac Paints. He's not here, but he's one of the patrons, and of course, Father John Alexander. So we come to a very important moment now, and that's going to be the the presentation, rather the unveiling of the logo of the Butterfly Express. And we're going to walk the talk here. We have children and rather the staff from Don Bosco Matriculation Higher Secondary School, Gedilam. That's in Viluppuram district. Are they here? Yeah, if you could just kindly stand up, give them a loud cheer. The children and the staff, please come up. And they are going to, as we unveil the logo, and we're going to request Mr. N. Ram and Dr. Jayakumar Reddy to unveil the logo of the Butterfly Express. And the first books, the book donation is going to be to the students from this rural school in Gedilam, Viluppuram district. So as we unveil, Mr. N. Ram and Dr. JK are going to unveil the logo for Butterfly Express. And we're also going to ask the children to come be part of the picture. Yeah, 3, 2, 1, and let's give a good applause. Wonderful. And to our dear children who come all the way from Gedilam, from Viluppuram, a louder applause to the children as well. The principal is also here. Okay, we're going to request all the guests of honor to also be a part of this picture, please. Please come. Yeah. Just not food for thought alone, but food for the tummies as well. I see some laddus and sweets also being given. That's being very thoughtful. To cherish for many years. Once again, let's put our hands together. Let's give the entire team a good round of applause.
Thank you, Mr. Joshua Madan, for sharing the Butterfly Express Library for Village Schools campaign with us today. As Nelson Mandela once said, education is the most powerful weapon which we can use to change the world. Your efforts to bring knowledge and opportunity to unprivileged children are the testament to this truth. We deeply appreciate your dedication to this noble cause and lasting impact it will have on the countless young lives.
Next, we are privileged to hear from a distinguished figure in journalism and publishing, Mr. N. Ram, Director of the Hindu Publishing Group. Let us welcome him to share his thoughts on this occasion.
Most Reverend Archbishop of Madras, Mylapore, Dr. George Anthony Sami, respected fellow felicitators, my dear friend Father John Alexander, Vice Provincial. I've known him for a long time, and I've seen him at Don Bosco, Egmore, where a new institution, new school was started after much discussion. I've met him at, it was in Elagiri Hills, and then in Tirupattur at the Sacred Hearts College, and I've met him on other occasions as well. He's a remarkable intellectual, somebody who has deep faith in Christianity and the Catholic values, but at the same time, very modern and progressive in his outlook. And it is a real pleasure to be able to participate in the launch of his 7th book. Very often when we have book launches, very few of those who speak and those in the audience have much of a clue about what the book is about. And that's a handicap. But on this occasion, I think most, if not all of us, have read the book or skimmed the book. I actually read all 152 pages. Are You Ready to Love? And Pathways to Life and Fullness. And alongside, I think it's a wonderful initiative that has been launched today, this Butterfly Express, the book donation campaign for rural students. And I'm sure if the idea is taken far and wide, the response will be very, very good, and it will also be appreciated. Of course, in giving books, people have to exercise some judgment, not donate books that they want to discard or they have little regard for, books of value. You can't guarantee that all books that come will be valuable, but that there must be a conscious attempt to give them good books. The book you want to keep, you should give. That's very much part of what Father John is talking about sharing, about being generous, and so on. The book you love most, maybe a first edition of something, that's the book that is most valuable. And I hope some of the donations will be extremely valuable books of high quality. Coming to the the focus of this event, the book launch, like my friend and colleague Sashi Kumar, I too would not describe myself as a religious person, to put it mildly. I'm a non-believer. Let me lay it out at the outset. But I have great regard for men and women of religion who work for the common good, who work to unite people in the values that our Constitution proclaims. In the preamble, everybody has seen it at some point or another, but very few of us take it to heart. Justice, social, economic and political, the liberty of thought, of expression, of belief, of faith, of worship, equality of status and opportunity, and perhaps most important at this point of time in our political history and given our highly contested socio-political milieu, fraternity. And that fraternity contains the value of love. Love, of course, goes beyond that, but fraternity is based on the idea of respect, of equality, but also solidarity and love. And so I think this book addresses it. Of course, the values are, as the Archbishop pointed out, not just human values, but values, gospel values, and so on. I can understand it. I I went to a succession of Christian institutions, starting with Church Park for some weeks, Rosary Matriculation School. It used to admit boys up to the 4th class in those days. Then Madras Christian College High School, then Loyola College, and so on. These are a succession, and I have the greatest regard and respect and admiration for Christian missionaries of various denominations, in this case mostly Catholic in my case, who have dedicated their lives and everything to educating young people. And Father John, in a very interesting chapter on, that's the chapter I related to most perhaps. It's chapter 21, please read it carefully. Schools of Love, Rethinking Catholic Education Today. And let me dwell on it for a couple of minutes. He starts with the example of Father Francis Guizot from France, a dedicated Salesian of Don Bosco, the mission from France. I actually knew him quite well for many years, and I can relate to what Father John Alexander has discussed in this chapter. He says that he left an indelible mark on Yelagiri Hills and surrounding areas in Tamil Nadu, worked in that area for 45 years from 1962, constructed roads, dug wells, educated thousands of children, established schools and technical institutions and colleges in several parts of South India, but never baptized anyone or pushed for conversion. This was the life and mission of Father Guizot, a devoted Catholic. And who can question, who has the right to question his approach, his values, the magnificence of his life and work? This, I think, is an example. Father John Alexander in this chapter 21 points out that there are more than 55,000 Catholic schools and colleges with more than with an enrolled strength of more than 50 million students. 50 million, is that right? Christians constitute 2.3% of the Indian population, around that. We don't have the latest numbers from the census. But it's a huge contribution, a disproportionate, in a positive sense, positively disproportionate contribution in the fields of, especially in the fields of education, at all levels, as well as health and other welfare services. And then comes the problem. Pope John Paul II in the Apostolic Constitution underscored the intrinsic connection between Christian educational institutions and the church, and pointing out that it's not enough to teach sciences, this and that. You've got to have that connection in mind all the time. And I think, if you're to be honest, this presents a problem in a society with many faiths, hugely pluralistic and diverse, where already religion or religious faith is a source of tension, of conflict, of hate, of exploitation of these feelings by scrupulous and cynical politicians of many shades, and in particular by a socio-political formation that wants to emulate the theocratic or semi-theocratic states in our neighborhood, all around us. They want to follow their example, not the path set out by our Republican Constitution, which is secular and democratic. Forget the first part, sovereign also. Forget the lip service paid to socialism in the preamble, but certainly the other two matter a great deal, all three, sovereign, secular and democratic. So is it possible, how do you reconcile this directive from the Pope John Paul II with this? And my own view, honestly, is
religion and education should be separated. Otherwise, we are also, apart from this being the right thing to do, the principle that I would stand for, I think, of course, you can be Christian, but when I was in the Madras Christian College High School, we also went to moral science. In fact, I wished I could go to the Bible class because it's great literature. I could learn it, but we are not allowed. Non-Christians were not really allowed. But we never got the impression that anything was thrust on us. That was the headmaster that Kuruvilla Jacob, one of the iconic heads of institutions, represented, and so on. So I've always believed from then on that religion and education, many of you may not agree, but there must be a clear wall between religion and education. Those who want to study religious texts and so on should do it, but there should be no coercion, no pressure on pupils to do it. This is not the view that Father John Alexander, I don't want to give the wrong impression that he has espoused this view, but he has posed the problem. It's a delicate issue because you are committed. Missionaries are committed to spreading the gospel. That's part of the mission. That's part of their life and work. At the same time, you are encountering a situation, a complex situation, where these ideas are there, and especially where the situation, it could be precarious if every school claiming to be imparting religious education resorted to pressure and so on. Father John Alexander points out that in Belgium and France, there is, in this chapter, those who teach Bible and ethics, is it? Have to be baptized. And there are non-believers who also teach there. So this is a problematic. I don't want to give any easy answers. I've stated my views, but that's a very important chapter in the book, and all Christian schools, as well as those representing other communities, Muslim schools and so on, have to ponder deeply over this question, whether in the context of India, you can afford to mix up religion and education. There are many fine ideas in this book. I just want to list one or two without going into them in detail because we can't take too much time on it. The idea of solitude, he calls it the music of silence, discovering the divine in solitude. It's very important. What is solitude? And practicing it to find peace of mind and so on. The self-discipline required to do this. I think most of us can relate to it. We need, in this frenetic world, the world of frenetic activity, we need to find spaces where we can practice in a systematic way solitude. And then courage beyond fear, conquering fear. There's a lovely story, perhaps quite well known, about Nelson Mandela and his bodyguard taking a flight. They encountered a violent storm. Everybody was scared. Nelson Mandela didn't show any fear, but later on he revealed that he was as terrified as anyone else. But since he had to lead, in his leadership role, he could not afford to show fear. He had to reassure people. So the point being that fear is natural. Everybody fears something, but you can conquer it through a process. The other very interesting chapter is it's a problematic thing again, the mystery of unanswered prayers. This is the well-known problem of the theodicy. The theodicy, I think to theologians this is very well known, the vindication of divine providence in view of the existence of evil and suffering in the world. How do you reconcile the existence of God with all the evil and suffering that you encounter? What's happening in Gaza? What's happening in various other places? What happened in Mizoram fairly recently? The Métis were massacred. So what about all that? How do you reconcile that? And I think it's a complex story, and I think it's one of the issues that many religions have tried to grapple with and resolve. There's Christian apologetics, every religion has to relate to this central question and has its own answers, but I'm not convinced by any of them in this way. But it's an extremely important issue, and Christians would say God has his reasons, and so on. And John Alexander has a very fine chapter, without ever using the word theodicy, but in an accessible way, explaining the issue. He talks about bad habits and how to overcome them. And the other interesting point is quoting Pope Francis, whom we all admire, not just for his humility, but his ability to empathize with people well beyond the Christian fold. But a very interesting statement he made is that you cannot cultivate humility without going through humiliations. So when Father Alexander was sitting there and refused to bring his chair up, I was joking to him, that's humiliation. Here you show the humility. But Pope Francis, a Jesuit, certainly went through humiliations in his time. He was attacked at one point of time, but he overcame that and became one of the most beloved religious leaders in the world today. A lot of us admire him for his humble ways, his simplicity. I remember before he was elected as Pope, he was a cardinal, he checked in at a hotel, and after he was elected, before he showed up on the balcony, he went out and paid his bills himself and came out. And I believe he doesn't live in the papal palace. That is humility, but from his own experience, I suppose, he said, without being humiliated and living through that and finding a way forward, you cannot practice humility. And again, Father John Alexander is very widely read. The quotations are not just the usual thing people start chapters with, because you could pick it up from any book of quotations, but he's actually found meaningful quotations, meaningful examples you can relate to. There are several other things in the book, and we can discuss them elsewhere or later, but it's a very fine offering, and even for somebody who's not of a religious dispensation, religious orientation, I think there's a great deal to learn from and appreciate in the book. I would also say it's a very well-written book. I've done a lot of proofing in my time. Usually it goes to the mistake first and then the word. Goes straight to the mistake. So far, I couldn't find any proof devils in the book. I hope to find at least 5, but which is standard in a book. But it's a very well-written book, so he's taken the trouble to edit it, revise it, and it's very, very accessible. So I'm delighted to be part of this event, and I convey my respects to the Most Reverend Archbishop.
Thank you, sir, for your wonderful and insightful address that would shape wisdom today. Your thoughts added great value to this event, and we are truly grateful for your time and for your presence.
So, dear friends, the released book is available for buying today with a discount price. So, books are kept outside, you can buy. I had a great opportunity to live with Father John Alex for 1 year in Don Bosco, Egmore. At one fine day, I was going to his office to meet him. Then I saw a small boy was waiting outside his office. Maybe he was first standard or LKG or UKG boy. A teacher was with him, and I just casually asked, what happened? She said, brother, he has signed the signature of Father John Alex. And then I asked for what? Just to play in the play area. So then he was brought into Father, and some small inquiry was going on. So, but today you are all, you will be gifted with his signature in the book which he has written. So, my dear friends, the book is available. Kindly buy it and make use of it for your friends to give as a gift in your educational institutions and in the place wherever you are. that it will be a great impact as it is creating now, and it will create in the near future. So as we draw the event to close, I invite the book's author, Father John Alexander SDB, to express his gratitude and deliver the word of thanks.
So this morning I received a message from Dr. Cynthia, whom we all revere and appreciate. She said, Father, I offered a special Mass and prayed that this event will be a graceful event. And that's what it has happened. Thank you, Ma, for your prayers and your blessings. And she is one of the strong people who encourage me. Whenever I write a book or write an article, she will be the first one to appreciate me and also buy copies and give it to others. So thank you. And not only with regard to this, and she is involved in so many diocese level activities of training young couples to get married and get and to understand what it means to live together, and when they have problems of divorce, she is there with them. And she has done so many deliveries, thousands and thousands of deliveries. She and another doctor, J.K. Reddy. These are two doctors that we have here, and who are the other doctors here. So we really appreciate, and I'd like to thank both of them for being here. And our beloved Archbishop, one of my very close friends who appreciate, and every time I disturb him for different things, he is always available. And thank you, dear beloved Archbishop, for making time. I know these days you have been traveling from Rome to Trichy, to Mumbai, and all the places all over India, but you have been very kind enough to already assure me that you will be here on this day. Thank you. And to two of my close friends, Mr. N. Ram, let's put our hands together, and Sashi Kumar. So they have strongly stated the difference between us, them and me versus, okay? So they are non-believers, and I am a believer, but we three of us believe in love. Okay. Yes. At one moment, Mr. Ram, important. He was trying to say that what can divide us, religion can sometimes divide us, and we have witnessed it throughout history. And love is an important force that transcends religion. I think that is what we are trying to and each of us them beautifully reflected and told us. And I like to thank Father Joe Anthony, my mentor. So I was busy with philosophy. I used to write some articles for the Hindu Frontline, and my friend used to encourage and publish it. At one moment, Father Joe Anthony said, you should also write for a new leader. So that's how my journey began and has ended in love, and it is going to continue. Thank you, Father Joe. Today, I pay my respect and reverence to you. So today we have the Jesuits, the Loyola College principal is here, and Father Joe Anthony is here, and all of them are there. And we have the St. Paul's publications. They are very strong in communications. 3 congregations have come together to do this wonderful event. So Don Bosco is very strongly present. Sanjay is here, Anand is here, Asif is here, and Joshua. And we have a very good friend, our good friend of Don Bosco, former collector of Tirupattur, Dr. Sivanarul. Let's put our hands together for him. And Dr. Virudagiri Nathan is one of our good friends. He's a known clinical psychologist in the city, and several other people, Madhu Kumanan of Albert Theatres, and everyone here has been very, very good to you. So therefore, thank you very much. Let me conclude. I don't want to take a lot of time. There is one of the authors that I really like is Toni Morrison. Toni Morrison, a novelist. I've read most of those books. So when we said, like we are publishing here and we are doing that, I am a writer. Several of you also writer. Ram is a very good journalist. Sir is a good actor, very handsome actor. He acted, today actually we should have screened that movie. He acted in one of Malayalam movies called Love 24/7. Okay, one of the, so, and he is, what is your role there? Lover. He is acting as a lover with a divorcee. Maybe you should, am I right? Okay, don't be embarrassed, don't worry, okay. The message will not go to your wife. Okay, so we are very happy. And so today is a book release, but I think each of us are creators. Father Joe Anthony is a good musician, and several musicians are here. We have Father Jesudas, who has produced so many movies, so many songs. So similarly, each of us creates something in our own life. So several of us are good artists, and several of us are good speakers, and several of us are good programmers. So we happen to be part of a releasing function, but each of us can be creators, especially in this time where we are forced to be just consumers. Today was a wonderful event where we had a kind of a participation of every people. We have children who have come all the way from a village in Kedilam. So it's a wonderful moment. So I would like to conclude the entire event quoting Toni Morrison, who says, if there is a book you want to read, but it has not been written yet, then you must write it. So I wish all of you become writers in your own ways. Now digital media is there, WhatsApp is there. So you're not just sending good morning and good evening and good night message. How many good morning, good night message we have to receive? But to become active creators in our own ways, in the fields that we are in, whether we are religious or non-religious, believers or non-believers, young people or experienced people, we all have become creators. Several promoters of business and other companies are here. So you are all creators. So thank you very much. Thank you for being part of this event, accepting our invitation of Don Bosco, as well as other people connected. And finally, I would like to really thank the community, the rector and community of St. Bede's. Let's put our hands together for this wonderful arrangements they have made. And also the community of Citadel, where I am now, the Vice Provincial and also the rector of the community. We have the Vice Rector, Father Frank, and all the confreres from there. Let's put our hands together for... and finally, I would like to acknowledge the presence of Brother Lucas. Is he here? Brother Lucas, please stand up. And along with him, Father Vincent. They are the social workers. If we have today an important work called Anbu Illam. Anbu Illam are the children who are picked up from the streets. For several generations, Don Bosco has been doing this work, and Brother Lucas comes from all the way from Vellore. He told in the video that he reads my books, he likes. So, but he has been working in a village called TK Puram, some 20 kilometers from Vellore, for 35 years. Just working with that village children and educating them, and so many hundreds of children have benefited out of, he didn't write books. He is the book that we have to read. Father Vincent is the book that we have to read. So today I would like to thank and appreciate all of you. We have several former provincials. Father Jayapal is here. He has been a strong support. Mr. Ram is one of the mentors. If we have today Don Bosco School of Excellence, thanks to Mr. Ram. And thanks to Father Jayapalan, who was the provincial that time. Now today we have a wonderful school called Don Bosco School of Excellence, and that idea has spread now. In Tamil Nadu we have 6 + 3, 9 schools on the name of Don DBX. So a small idea, these were the people who supported us. So thank you very much. I would like to go on and on. There are several people of you here, but we will spend a little more time. There is more coffee available. Hang around. It's not just my book is important, but each of you, what you do is very, very important to me personally. Let us continue our bonding and love. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you, Father. Now I invite the school choir to sing a hymn to Don Bosco. Dear friends, after the hymn to Don Bosco, each of you will be given a small keychain, a token of love and gratitude from the author.
Check, check. Check, check.
Life, love, and care. Don Bosco, the dreamer's dare. Life and love, the Don Bosco way. Art bursting life, the Don Bosco way. Home away from home. It's Don Bosco along the way. The power of creative knowledge, the care of unfailing love, the world of innovation and dream. It's Don Bosco along the way. Don Bosco, we live and more in Don Bosco. We learn and grow as Don Bosco. Don Bosco, we live and more in Don Bosco. Don Dreamers come, we heard that call. Trips in life we get to them, hand in hand with giants of growth. Sun must go along the way. It's Don Bosco along the way. It's Don Bosco along the way. It's Don Bosco along the way. The least of all is best of best. The best of all is what we get. A caring home around the world. It's Don Bosco along the way.
So we thank our beloved Archbishop as he takes leave. Thank you, Bishop. Okay. Thank you. So we thank the sisters from FMA. Sister Christina and others are here. And also the SMA sisters and several other sisters. And we especially thank for the Edward and the DBX St. Bede's Academy here, and for the YL Irdeyaraj, and for the Arul Shekhar and others who helped us to run this event. Thank you. May God bless all of us.
Friends, there is tea is available. Kindly have some tea and snacks.